the scene shifts to a grotesque ogre being sliced in half. Luina remarks that they're nearing their destination, with monsters appearing in swarm. It seems they'll reach the goal on schedule, possibly even taking first place at this pace. As Fernan drains the creature's blood, Luina questions if it's truly necessary. He explains that troll blood is a vital component for potions. She acknowledges this but points out that, given his wealth, it's practically trivial. He counters that every bit of money counts, no matter how small. She retorts that this is why people call him the money demon. He replies that his wealth allowed him to recruit her, making it a worthwhile investment. She urges him to hurry up so they can move on. He asks how many monsters they've defeated, unsure if it's 7 or 8. She clarifies it's 8 pairs, expecting a hefty bonus. He teases that she's obsessed with scores, to which she snaps back that it's better than being fixated on money. Besides, she has a compelling reason to be the top student. Suddenly, they both sense danger. He notes there are at least 20 enemies, likely targeting them as they leap from the sky. Instantly surrounded, they fend off the attacks. One enemy charges at Luina's none other than Alone, catching her off guard. She blocks his strike, but its force sends them both reeling backward. They recover, charging at each other again, trading blows while their swords clash, auras flaring. Locked in a stalemate, Luga seizes the moment to float upward, preparing a fire spell. But Fernan, noticing this, dashes between Luina and Alone, interrupting their duel. Luga grins as Fernan counters his spell with a barrage of rocks. Their clash triggers a massive explosion, forcing the students to brace themselves. Luga remarks that he planned to stay out of it, but Fernan wiped out half his pursuers in an instant, urging him to ease up. Fernan admits he's aiming for first place this time. Luga insists that won't happen and suggests settling things peacefully. With only an hour left in the test, fighting now would prevent anyone from reaching the goal. He proposes that he and Alone take second, a win-win for all. Fernan considers it, but Luina declares she'd rather lose fighting than surrender first place without a struggle. Fernan acknowledges her resolve, and Luga laughs, saying negotiations failed, and he's eager to see their skills. His group prepares to fight, but Fernan suggests waiting for another time. Luga is confused, but it's too late. A magical circle forms beneath them, and the ground collapses into a massive trap. As it engulfs them, Alone shouts for everyone to run, but the trap seals them inside. Fernan asks Luina if she's ready to move on. Stunned, she says he should have used that trick earlier. He admits it's draining and won't hold long. The scene jumps to post-exam, where Grad praises everyone's efforts and announces the ranking. Fernan and Luina take first, and she beams with joy. Luga and Alone secure second. Fernan remarks that they actually pulled it off. Luina admits they're skilled, but didn't expect to beat Alone, thinking they'd lose. Fernan insists first place is first place, regardless of who they defeated. Luina agrees, thrilled to place first for the first time. Grad concludes the test, instructing everyone to stay close and not wander before returning to the academy. Luina asks Fernan if he knows about the new student Ain't. He says everyone does, and she reveals she met him the previous night. Surprised, Fernan learns she encountered him during training, describing it as an awkward moment, similar to when he secretly watched her sword dance. Ferran's head throbs, and he clutches it. Luina asks what's wrong, but he's experiencing another prophecy, revealing a hidden text fragment. Ain't asks Luina to be his knight, but she refuses. The sky turns blood red, shrouded in thick miasma, with a monstrous evil threatening Ain't. Luina stands between them, declaring that she once declined to be his knight but now accepts, understanding his purpose. She charges at the demon, Andromaeus, her brilliant blue aura shining. Fernan, confused by the shifting prophecy, sees Luina waking in a hospital bed, injured. Ain't, relieved, cries that she nearly died for him, blaming wealthy families for targeting hers, causing their plight. Fernan grows frustrated that these visions persist. Luina calls his name, snapping him out of it, concerned as he collapses. He insists he's fine, confused by his fainting. Rosalia suggests the infirmary, and Grad speculates he overexerted his powers. Fernan wonders if this is when Ain't began seeing him as an enemy. He questions why another prophecy appeared, centered on Luina, and if it foretells near-future events involving Andromaeus, one of the 72 demons. Later, as Fernan approaches the carriage, Hyde congratulates him on first place. Exhausted, Fernan says he's drained. Hyde suggests sleep, promising to wake him at the dorms. As they depart, Fernan thinks of Andromaeus, the 72nd Demon Lord, depicted as a man with a snake around his arm. With demons gone for 1,000 years since the first Emperor's victory, information is scarce, and their existence is considered mythical. Fernan believes Ain't will handle them, but worries about Luina's injury in the prophecy. He debates telling her but doubts she'll believe him. Earlier, he tested the waters, asking if she believes in demons. She affirmed, citing the Empire's history, but when he suggested demons still exist, she worried he'd hit his head, dismissing him as irrational. He thinks if he finds demonic evidence, he could convince her. Fernan recalls that in 1 month, during a training match, Ain't defeats Vaughn, the second-ranked student, becoming unmatched at the academy. Vaughn loses everything: reputation, honor, and backing, and gets possessed by a demon, marking their first indirect appearance. Fernan sees this as a chance to persuade others with evidence, but the prophecy's details are blurred, leaving when, where, and how unclear. He wonders if clarity requires a condition or time. Frustrated, he mutters that it's quietly infuriating. The scene shifts to Ain't praising Fernan, noting that even without military rights, a Burv remains a Burv. Gardner credits Ferran's Burv heritage for his victory. Ain't notes Gardner favors Burvs but despises the Pellenbergs, who are now valued more. Gardner calls it the end of days, saying he only allied with Pellenbergs for war funds 1,000 years ago. He plans to ask Fernan for money, citing his worn equipment. Ain't questions the sudden request, but Gardner insists Ferran's kindness is a ploy to connect with his family, typical of Pellenbergs. Ain't doubts Fernan has ulterior motives, recalling how Fernan gave him a potion when injured, showing genuine concern. Asking for money would be dishonorable, as trust isn't bought. Gardner, angry, argues that even the Emperor valued wealth, and accuses Ain't of being swayed by a meal. He urges Ain't to ask Fernan for money, but Ain't can't meet him. Hyde explains Ferran's busy managing his family's guild alongside studies. Ain't, disappointed, admits he disturbed Fernan. Gardner finds it odd for a Pellenberg to act this way. Fernan, surprised Ain't reached out first, expected less tempting bait. He sent Ain't away, sensing his visit wasn't voluntary. Hyde questions sending him back, but Fernan finds Ain't's quick approach suspicious, given many seek Pellenbergs for similar reasons. He plans to build trust before reeling Ain't in, noting his talent's value. Hyde warns that rejecting him risks losing him. Fernan orders elixirs from the family warehouse, despite their cost, believing money solves everything. Later, at the dorm, Gardner asks Ain't why he met Pellenberg's butler again. Ain't reveals he received a letter and a box. Fernan explains it contains an elixir, urging acceptance. Gardner, offended, questions if Fernan thinks he's above the imperial family. Ain't curious discovers it's a saint bird's heart, astonishing gardener who recognizes its value. The holy bird, a revered creature, commands the power of light. This potion is ideal for his sword technique, which harnesses radiant energy. That boy is truly wealthy in every sense, and though they didn't gain any riches, it was still worthwhile that he visited him. Arno, overwhelmed with emotion, weeps, saying he can't fathom why someone would value a nobody like him, vowing to train harder to meet those expectations. Gardner tries to reassure him that's not the point. The scene shifts to a later time, where Fernan inquires about the outcome. Hyde reports that Ain't overcame Vaughn, noting that Vaughn's swordsmanship was superior, but Ain't's aura was overpowering. Fernan mentions the prophecy predicted a close victory, and suggests the potion likely played a role. Hyde questions if the potion was the key to Ain't's win, and Fernan muses that it probably had some influence. Hyde remarks that it sounds like Fernan believes Ain't could have won without it. Fernan replies that no one can know for certain. As foretold, Ain't's victory signals that Vaughn will soon be overtaken by a demon, presenting a prime chance to uncover evidence of demon's existence. Fernan instructs Hyde to monitor Vaughn closely for now. Hyde, puzzled, asks if he means Vaughn specifically, and Fernan confirms, stressing they don't know when the demon might approach him. They must track everyone Vaughn interacts with and record their conversations. Hyde wonders why the focus is on Vaughn rather than Ain't, but Fernan insists on gathering all possible information. He begins reviewing daily logs, and time passes swiftly. Fernan carries on with his routine attending classes and the like. 2 weeks have passed since he started observing Vaughn, yet nothing unusual has occurred. This feels wrong. Something significant should be imminent. Fernan wonders if Hyde is slacking or if the prophecy's claim about Vaughn's demonic possession is false. The demon is the prophecy's crux. If it's inaccurate, he might need to question its entire validity. After Ain't defeated Vaughn, they cross paths again during the midterm exam, where Vaughn charges at him. The outcome, however, is predetermined. Vaughn won't lose to the same foe twice. Yet Ain't, trained by Gardner, dominates even more decisively than before. Ain't leaves him behind, unaware that a demonic force is starting to seep into Vaughn's body and mind, consuming him. Fernan jolts awake in bed, head throbbing, exclaiming he can't believe he dozed off. It's already morning. He's now seeing prophecies in his dreams, but they've revealed the precise moment of Vaughn's possession after his midterm loss, which happens to be today. As the prophecy floods his mind, Hyde enters, noting Fernan's early rise and suggesting breakfast, but he's curious about what Fernan's up to, seeing Mjolnir and Link's shield on the table. Fernan says the timing is perfect, heading to observe the first-year night department's midterm exam and needs an escort. Hyde mentions he's been called by the Duke and can only go later. Fernan acknowledges this and says he'll take someone else. Hyde teases that Fernan has no friends at the academy, but Fernan, irritated, retorts that he do someone he paid for. Luina, confused, asks why he needs an escort to collect potions during the exam period. Fernan explains the potion's effect will wane if delayed, so they must go now. She protests, citing her study commitments, but he offers to waive her debt's interest for months, even post-graduation. She instantly agrees, asking where they're headed. He says the Northern Mountain region, which she notes is the first year's midterm exam site, warning that other year students entering could face discipline for rule-breaking. Fernan claims money can solve anything. She asks if he bribed someone, guessing it was Grad, and calls him shameless. Fernan admits he likes Grad's flexibility. Luina says she's returning to the dorms, and Fernan, surprised, assures her they won't get caught, questioning if she's a knight who breaks promises. She clarifies she forgot her sword. Realizing he overreacted, Fernan tells her to grab it quickly. Now, watching the duels, he stresses they must conceal their presence to avoid detection by professors or assistants. Though he bribed Professor Grad, openly roaming would cause issues. Luina points out he knows this is wrong, making his actions worse. Fernan calls her a good kid, advising her to stay that way, and checks the map, noting Ain't is in the second department, close to Vaughn, ranked third. They may have already clashed, so they must hurry. Luina notes the map belongs to a professor, and possessing it violates rules, wondering how much Fernan paid. He tells her to follow quietly. A piercing scream echoes, and Luina suggests it's a monster. Fernan realizes this is bad. Hearing groans, Luina says it's from the first year's area and rushes to investigate. Fernan warns her it's dangerous alone, chasing after her and calling her name. She reports someone was attacked by a monster but is unharmed due to the map's defensive magic, though something feels off. Monsters here aren't usually this aggressive. Fernan notes it began sooner than expected, and he hasn't checked Vaughn's condition. More screams ring out, and Luina, alarmed, wonders what's happening as attacks ravage the forest ahead, destroying everything. Noticing heavy footsteps, she spots a troll charging at her. She swiftly cuts off its arm, but as it falls, the troll turns and charges again. Luina questions why it's unfazed by losing an arm. Fernan intervenes, hurling a rock through its chest. Pulling more rocks from the ground, he launches them at the troll's back, but it persists. Luina leaps back onto a tree, using it to propel herself behind Fernan, asking what's happening. He explains the troll is berserk, unable to feel pain, and obsessed with killing. The only way to stop it is to sever its head. Luina wonders why it turned berserk, recalling the prophecy tied it to a demon. While professors and instructors handle the chaos, Vaughn, empowered by demonic energy, attacks Ain't. Struggling against an overwhelming enemy, Ain't finally awakens. Fernan laughs, and Luina, baffled, asks why he's laughing in such a dire situation. He prepares a spell, saying they must focus on the troll. The scene shifts to Vaughn, lamenting his repeated loss. Ain't walks away, and Vaughn shouts, demanding where he's going, insisting the fight isn't over. Ain't declares the match decided Vaughn's loss. The words echo in Vaughn's mind, fueling his desperation to win, burdened by failing his prince and family's expectations, fearing he'll lose his heir status. Determined, he charges at Ain't, a red aura emanating. Ain't counters with a flurry of strikes, defeating him in one move. Gardner questions why Vaughn keeps challenging Ain't, calling him weak and lacking chivalry, suggesting Ain't kill him. Ain't refuses, noting it's just an exam, and leaves Vaughn for the instructors to handle. Back with Fernan, they defeat the troll. He remarks it wasn't as tough as expected. Luina urges abandoning the potion and leaving the area to the professors. Fernan refuses, insisting they cut through the monster horde westward. Luina questions his sanity, but he points out she killed a berserk monster, proving they're not invincible. She asks if he foresaw this, needing an escort for this reason. Fernan denies it, and she argues the potion isn't worth his life. He retorts that money is everything, and runs off. Luina, incredulous, follows. They reach the spot, and she confirms it's where the potion is. Fernan sees Vaughn on the ground, realizing he's too late since Aint's fight ended. Luina spots Vaughn, urging they help, but Fernan warns her to stay back. She's confused, noting Vaughn's skill and wondering who defeated him, suggesting he fainted in battle and needs aid. Fernan insists she retreat immediately. She protests, saying a berserk monster could kill Vaughn if left there, and suggests hiding him. As Vaughn rises, Luina senses his shadow and a strange aura stepping back. She calls to him, unsure if it's truly Vaughn. Fernan confirms it's demonic energy. Vaughn's eyes burn with rage, fully possessed. Fernan notes a discrepant scythe prophecy said demonized Vaughn would target Ain't, but now the target has shifted. Luina asks how Fernan knows a demon has taken Vaughn's body, but he's transfixed, muttering Vaughn's lost his mind. Luina says they must subdue him. Fernan, placing a hand on her shoulder, tells her to hold out for 10 minutes. She turns, but he's gone, and Vaughn leaps to attack. She calls to him, trying to snap him out of it, but he roars, knocking her sword away. She regains her stance, pushing back, but feels overwhelmed by his strength. Releasing her aura, she sends him flying, then lands a punch to his chest, cracking the ground. She pleads for him to snap out of it, but his eyes remain vacant. He swings again, but she dodges by leaping up. His demonic aura intensifies, and she matches it with her elegant aura. They clash mid-air, but Vaughn's power dominates. Luina, stepping back, notes her aura is draining faster due to his demonic energy, unsure what to do. Spotting Fernan, she asks why he took so long. He waves her over as Vaughn screams at him. Seizing the distraction, Luina leaps off Vaughn's head, and they flee. She demands why Fernan abandoned her. He explains he set a trap to subdue Vaughn, who's too strong to fight directly. As Vaughn steps forward, the ground cracks, lifted by a magic circle that unleashes fire magic, slamming him down. Luina worries it's excessive, fearing Vaughn's death. Fernan assures her it'll only enrage him further, as Vaughn emits a darker aura. Luina, after fighting him, starts to speak, but Fernan interrupts, pulling out a wand and magic gem. Chanting, he envelops Vaughn in flames, summoning a massive fire pillar that scorches him. Vaughn collapses, unconscious. Fernan declares the operation a success, calling it tense. Luina questions his definition of success, noting the costly items used, and wondering if he regrets the expense. He insists they are, but circumstances left no choice. She retorts that teamwork could have brought him down with all they had. He snaps, asking what she's rambling about. Clearly, he's under demonic influence, radiating wild surges of energy. She remarks that he has the aura to shatter the world, yet his core remains tied to Vaughn. Fernan recalls that A was destined to face trials before his awakening, and a grim realization Hitchi sees his error. He admits it's true that A will rise as the world's savior, but as a first year, his powers remain dormant. Her strength surpasses his currently. While he's marginally stronger than Vaughn, she outclasses him by far. At this moment, he's stunned by his colossal mistake. So obsessed with the term demon, he overlooked what truly mattered, losing both a costly scroll and a priceless artifact. She slaps him, urging him to pull himself together, noting the haze in his eyes and asking if he's all right. Vaughn staggers to his feet, and Fernan mutters about the staggering cost of it all. Vaughn glares at them and lunges toward Luina with a shout. Fernan lands a solid punch to his face, demanding he consider the fortune wasted on him, and Vaughn collapses, out cold. Luina questions why he didn't just do that from the start if he had the power, but Fernan's just furious about the money spent. Later, Vaughn asks if that's really him, insisting it can't be true. Fernan explains the recording sphere captures scenes exactly as they happened, with no way to fake it. Vaughn claims he recalls nothing after blacking out from his fight. Fernan says that's precisely why he's patiently clarifying it now. After losing his bout with A demon possessed him and he attacked them. Vaughn protests he's never even encountered a demon, so why are they so certain he was possessed? Fernan points out that Vaughn saw the recording sphere he was struck head-on by a bomb he triggered, then riddled with dozens of magic arrows, and a column of hellfire consumed him entirely. His survival through that ordeal proves demonic energy shielded his body. Vaughn concedes it's miraculous he's alive. Fernan adds that he burned through many resources to stop Vaughn's demonized state. Vaughn offers to repay the cost of the artifacts used. Fernan counters that it's not just about artifacts. Mental anguish is immense, launching into a dramatic rant. Vaughn, exasperated, asks what he can do to make amends. Fernan holds up a slave contract, saying it's simple: sign this, and it's all forgiven. Vaughn balks, pointing out it's literally a slave contract with harsh terms. Fernan accuses him of ungratefulness, saying he's trying to settle this discreetly for Vaughn's sake. Otherwise, he'll have to follow protocol and take the recording to the Inquisitors. Vaughn looks shocked as we learn the Inquisitors, an organization under the Emperor, exists to hunt and eradicate demons in the name of their grand cause. Once wielding immense power, they've faded into a ceremonial group over 1,000 years as demons became a distant memory. Fernan warns that the Inquisitors are eager for a chance to reclaim relevance and would leap at this recording. Vaughn insists he has no ties to demons. Fernan counters that, as someone linked to a demon, Vaughn faces expulsion from the academy, and wonders what his father would think of a son who bargained his soul to a demon perhaps disowning him. Vaughn caves instantly, signing the contract and calling Fernan master, while pledging his service. Luina questions if it's wise to handle this privately, suggesting they inform the professors. Fernan insists it's not the time, as they don't know if Vaughn willingly became a demon, was manipulated, or why it happened. If someone controlled him, it implies a demon conspirator within the academy. Publicizing this could make the culprit go underground, complicating their search. She deduces he plans to investigate further, but wonders why anyone would target academy students. Fernan speculates that the academy gathers the Empire's brightest talents. Furious, she declares this tantamount to sabotaging the Empire's future and vows to help eradicate demons whenever needed. Fernan grins, noting he won't have to offer her interest-free deals anymore, and she'll later realize how reckless her promise was. Post-exam, students crowd around a board, discussing how all professors and assistants were deployed to quell a monster rampage, halting the Night Department's exam midway. The midterm itself couldn't be cancelled, so practical exams were swapped for written ones. Students groan, this is the worst. Since the academy prioritizes practical skills over written tests, those focused on hands-on training, like A, face a heavy burden. Gardner remarks it's odd no matter how he thinks about it. A asks what he means. Gardner explains the earlier monster rampage reeked of demonic energy, yet no demon appeared. A suggests it might not be demonic then. Gardner insists it's impossible, having warned A repeatedly that demons will resurface. That's why the first Emperor stationed him here, and demons always target A. A, surprised, asks why. Gardner questions if he truly doesn't know it's because the name, Armenian, is a deep-seated enemy to demon. Without the Armenians, demons would have ruled the world. Now, they'll aim to erase the Armenian bloodline first, so A must stay vigilant and heed his guidance. A feels uneasy, realizing he's the demon's target. Meanwhile, in Fernan's dorm he screams, clutching his head, saying it feels like it's splitting. Hyde asks what's wrong. Face down on his desk, Fernan reads a new prophecy. The first-year mandatory field survival skills course follows the midterms. Believing a spiritual herb from the former emperor awaits, A takes the bait. Entering a cave alone he finds it, but a spiritual beast guards it. Gardner warns it's too strong and urges retreat, yet they defeat it. When the beast dies, the area behind it collapses, revealing Methriel through the gap. A and Gardner grow ecstatic, learning Methriel is a metal blessed by mana, the same material as Gardner's blade, which houses his soul. Fernan, stunned by the prophecy, vows to claim this soul-holding metal no matter what. Elsewhere, Luina munches on chocolate, noting last time it was a spiritual potion, now a spiritual herb. Fernan admits he lied before, but insists this is real. She's shocked he'd confess to lying so easily. The survival training means skipping a week of classes. He claims he's arranged to cover missed lessons, promising to handle everything if she joins. She refuses, and even his offer to waive interest doesn't sway her. She won't miss classes. Incredulous he'd skip a week for a herb. He shrugs, saying he'll ask someone else. Someone enters, greeting Fernan with, "May Mana's blessing be with you today," hands clasped. Luina recognizes Jace Vines. He laughs, surprised Fernan isn't alone, and greets her with the same mana blessing, asking if he can call her sister. Fernan asks how academy life treats him. Jace, a first year, says there's much to learn. Luina, puzzled, asks if they're close. Fernan notes her surprise, and Jace says it's natural. She insists it's not, pointing out Jace's role as the Dragon God Church's saint, revered by all, and sees no reason for him to associate with a money-obsessed schemer like Fernan. Jace chuckles, explaining that non-mages like her might not know the Dragon God Church, originally worshipping the ancient dragon who gifted magic, now reveres mana itself. Most followers are mages, making it a powerful mage organization. To become an archmage, one needs the church pope's approval, showing their authority. Luina, exasperated by the law, demands what this has to do with Fernan. Jace explains the church requires vast funding, and Fernan's family, the Pellenbergs, is its biggest backer, funneling magical items through their merchant guild. The church and Pellenbergs are deeply entwined. Jace quips, "A rich man is your elder." Fernan notes he's technically older. Luina scoffs, calling Jace a spoiled rich brat, not a saint. Jace fake cries, saying, "That hurts," then laughs it off, admitting he was joking. She grasps their connection and excuses herself. Jace urges her to stay, but she refuses to get involved, leaving upset. He tells her to return if she changes her mind. Jace asks Fernan why he was summoned. Fernan reveals they'll hunt spiritual herbs during the first-year field survival training and needs help. Jace finds it tempting, and Fernan teases if he'd steal it. Jace denies it, valuing their bond, but questions why it must be during training his skills could let them sneak in early. Fernan says he would've, but the herb's exact location eludes him. The prophecy suggests it's near one of 7 lakes in the southern forest, where training occurs. He's been channeling mana into the lake beds to find a mana vein, but no Methriel yet. The cave is magically hidden, requiring A to lead them. Jace notes, non-participants can't enter the training area, and sneaking past crowds is tricky. Fernan reveals he's signed up as a teaching assistant for the first-year training. Jace is impressed, as second years rarely qualify, but Fernan secured permission from Rosalia, bending no rules. Jace calls him a true merchant. Fernan asks if he's in. Jace agrees, but only for a hefty payment, holding a contract. At the survival training, students are ready. Gardner reviews the plan with A. The herb is at Lake Farden in the west, and they must make it seem accidental to avoid suspicion, wandering initially. Gardner notices A's distraction, asking if he's listening. Points out Fernan assisting the training. Gardner doubts he'd do it without profit. A waves, assuming Fernan wants bonus points, but Grant, another assistant, shouts over him, announcing training starts in 30 minutes, urging everyone to their positions. A laments not greeting Fernan. Gardner questions what he sees in that rich brat. Later, Jace shows Fernan a doll dressed like him, requesting blood and mana. It transforms into a convincing clone. Jace, top of his class, used this spell to sneak past church officials, though it only fools the Pope briefly. Fernan's impressed it can trick a legendary mage temporarily, calling Jace a genius who'll aid A in the future. Oddly, the prophecy omits Jace, despite his talent and dragon god church ties, which loathe demons due to a demon's claim that magic stems from them, not dragons a blasphemy, that turned the church into a demon-hunting cult. Fernan wonders why Jace isn't A's ally in the prophecy, and considers investing in that outcome. Leaving, he counts on Jace, who waves goodbye. Fernan follows A toward Lake Farden, confirming it's the only western lake. He taps an earpiece, signaling someone it's Vaughn, using a magic device. A spots him, asking why he's here, noting Vaughn can't win. Vaughn, nervous, admits it but refuses to look weak. A flashback shows Fernan ordering Vaughn to stick close, threatening a harder life if he doesn't. Vaughn agrees reluctantly. Back in the present, a taunts if 2 losses weren't enough. Vaughn insists it doesn't matter, his reputation's ruined, and he'll fight to reclaim honor, releasing his aura. Gardner praises Vaughn's persistence, calling him a splendid knight and urging A to accept the challenge. A sighs, noting training rules ban participant clashes. Embarrassed, Vaughn claims he fights only for honor. Gardner insists rules don't matter to a knight seeking honor, egging A on. Fernan watches, pleased, urging Vaughn to stall as he heads to Lake Farden. At the lake, Fernan notes no one's around, and a barrier prevents noise leakage. He aims to dig for Methriel before A arrives, using a new speller, Massive Summoning Circle. He calls it a fusion of magical techniques and merchant wealth, summoning a golem he names James. Thrilled, he orders James to find the Methriel. Back with A, Vaughn blocks his path, demanding a fight. Clinging to A's leg, Vaughn begs him to engage. A, annoyed, asks how long this will take. Gardner scolds A for ignoring a knight's plea, unbecoming of an Armenian descendant. A insists rules prohibit fighting, and notes the cave's hidden nature, those seeking it find it. Gardner agrees it's guarded to prevent theft. Fernan senses more than herbs in the cave. A and Gardner spot the herbs below, ecstatic. Deep inside, Fernan and James dig frantically, uncovering the Methriel. A, spotting the herb, worries about the guarding sea dragon. Gardner, unprepared for such a beast, urges retreat, warning A's outmatched. A, confident, thinks he can fight. The ground shakes from Fernan's mining, dislodging rubble onto the dragon, waking it. It roars, rising. Gardner warns it's too late to flee, and A, staring up, asks how they'll handle it now.